There's no new stuff happening in the world though, Chucky. It's just the same old stories recycled.
Like what's gone on in Manchester.
Jesus
How about
Christ,
that? Let's
bro.
go there. What is the full context? What do you know about what happened in Manchester?
From my ignorance, there are 3 young men, brown, ethnic minorities, who have, from what we see, been mistreated by the Greater Metropolitan Police of Manchester. Whatever the incident was, where they apparently accused one of the 3 individuals of hitting a female officer to which her nose was bleeding, their response to that situation, despite the fact that they're here to serve and protect, was to throw the young gentleman on the floor and kick him one in the head. And then I found out this morning he now has a cyst in his brain or in his mind, in his head. So I just don't understand how someone that's here to serve and protect will attack 3 gentlemen that clearly don't look like they're trying to fight them. So this is an attack. That kick to the head and stamp to the head is great. That just, God forgive me for accusing anyone of this, but Chucky, if you asked me for a 4-second video clip of what racism looks like, I might send that.
Imagine if we couldn't see. Imagine if we couldn't see.
Imagine there was no video. For real. Imagine if we couldn't see. Oh yeah,
Imagine what was going on as well at a time where we couldn't see.
I saw that tweet you said something about the incident. Imagine what we didn't see or something like that. I was like, for real, you know?
When I see stuff like this, I just think, this guy is on camera. Imagine if we couldn't see.
You know, one of them's a police officer as well, who now hasn't gone into work because he's afraid of being beat up.
Do you know what? Let's take the stamp away for a minute, yeah? Let's just take the stamp of the head away for a minute. You see the knee to the back that he gave this guy? You know he could have broken his spine, bro.
Of course.
This Don, when you look at his face and you look at the pink in his face in that moment, yeah, he has completely lost control. He has completely lost control. He does not give one fuck about any, for a clean 7 or 8 seconds, in my mind, he wants to kill this guy. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, to stamp on somebody's head like that, that is attempted murder as far as I'm concerned. You take a big foot, you stamp on the head so that the head could hit the hard concrete. That is attempted murder in my eyes. And I'm sure that is attempted murder in the eyes of the law, by the way. You can go and try and find that. Anyway, but that whole thing is absolutely mental. This Don could have broken 9 noses. He could have broken 9 noses. It wasn't for him to go and stamp on somebody's head like that and to knee somebody in the back like that. That's outrageous, bro. That is outrageous. It's unacceptable. And then the other guy who's sitting on the bench or whatever, and he's got his hands behind his head. Either way, he's sitting there, and they're dealing with him like he's on some extreme resisting thing. Like, it's mental. Even before that, there's like footage before that. Is that his mum, by the way, or is that just? Imagine as a mother having to see that. By the way, that's just crazy. You know, but even before all of that, when they was pepper spraying the guy in the face and whatnot, it's like, wait a minute, how did we get here? How did we get here?
Yeah. Chucky, what's a dozen?
This one was crazy, bro.
Look at this. Look at that. He's kicked him in the stomach, bro.
They're going mad.
Bro, I truly believe he realised that he had fucked up on the first stamp, so he said, I'm going all out, bro. There is no way.
Jesus, bro. I don't think you should put that on the screen, by the way.
Please don't put that on the screen. EA Sports, Chucky, what is a dozen?
Go on.
12, yeah? So let's go back 12 years. What year is that?
2012.
What happened that year?
Mark dozen.
So you mean to tell me, even 12 years ago to now, we're dealing with the same problems, just looks different. If you're not getting shot outside a council estate, you're getting punched up in an airport. And it's crazy that Mr. Robinson had to come in and try and say that they're playing victim, because they soon after showed a video of Mr. Robinson at the airport also playing victim with the police. So Mr. Robinson, in this occasion, you need to dance a yard. But with everybody else now, honestly, Chucks. Do you know what they need to do with police? Because I think it's the motive of the man. It can't be I'm not gonna blame the police officers now. I'm like, let's just me try and be different now. These people, I always want to know your motivation for being a police officer, and this is the reasons why I say that. I would never want to be a police officer because if I'm a police officer, then I need to basically defend the laws of this country. But I don't agree with the laws of this country. So I'm afraid I'm a Rasta. I can't be a police officer because they're just telling me things that I can't do, that I won't do. So it just doesn't make sense for me. Now, if you take on defending the laws of this country and you believe that this country is here to hold us back, then it leads me to believe if you're passionate about this job, that makes perfect sense. So just to avoid these situations happening, isn't there some type of test that we can do with these people just to figure out if they've got a bit of a hidden ulterior motive within them to join the police office? Yeah. Because if they end up getting there at 19, 20 and they have this hidden agenda that their dads brought into their mind because they were young, naive and so on and so forth, once they're in a place where they can exercise it for years and they still got their family around them, and when they go to the workforce it just exercises the same values that they have in their household, by the time they're 32 years old you can't tell them nothing. If they're the chief whatever, they're punching up black youths, Asian youths, Albanian youths, to punching them all up, bro. And then before you know it, you've got situations like you got in the States, fam, where innocent black women are just getting killed by an officer that's up 6 points. If you up 6 times before, but no one gives a shit. He doesn't give a shit because it just doesn't matter. I can get another opportunity. It's just like there needs to be some type of test where we take a look at the mind of these officers, purely because ethnic minorities in this country is growing. I don't know what it was in London at one point, but now it's like 49% ethnic minority. So if you are a police officer working in London and you've come from flipping Hartlepool or something like that, I just don't believe your expertise are going to be very good in working with the public within that area. That might be your response. I don't know for sure, but clearly we have an issue. What are we doing about it?
Yeah, I like where you're going with that still. I think that they do that though.
Okay.
But and I'm assuming that they would have to do that. But do you know what, yeah? To be objective and to like unpack it even further,
yeah,
I think that like the one issue is that there's certain jobs within this country, yeah, that people are not doing so much anymore for whatever reason. So one is like, you know, they're finding it hard to get teachers for whatever reason. There's a lot of people that are like, there's all of these little jobs within our communities and whatever, yeah, that people are just not doing so much anymore. And one of them is actually police. They're not like, there's not a whole load of people trying to be police officers anymore for whatever reason that might be. You can unpack that in from different angles, yeah. So I think when we went through a situation where the police was underfunded, they took away a lot of the police, yeah, and then they did start to try to recruit a lot of police officers back. I'm not sure how true that is, really, because I hear from a lot of people that there's this thing of like feeling as though there's not so much police presence. I think that although they will say that they do this thing, this monitoring of the brain or testing your personality to see X, Y, and Z, because they are so understaffed, they're just recruiting people, and this is one of the reasons why this is happening. Do you get what I'm saying? On paper they will say, yeah, look, you know, these are the things that we have done and put in place and whatnot. Remember, there was a police officer not that long ago who duppied the woman. She was trying to get home or whatever, and he ended up having her in the car or some shit like that, raped her, duppied. There was all kinds of mad things. Armed police guy, right? Yeah. So
in England?
Again, again, it was in South London. Again, they will say, you know what, the police have to go through this type of training, this type of thing, or whatever else, yeah. But if for example they're understaffed and there's a small group of people that are coming in to become police officers, I can easily imagine that bare of them end up sliding through the cracks. Oh yeah, Sarah Everard. That's it. That name must ring a bell, innit?
But then Chucky, do you know what's crazy?
Was it in Brixton that happened, by the way?
She was walking home
from Clapham Common. That's it. Yeah.
Lads, you know what's crazy? Yeah. So like 12 years ago, when the riots happened, I know I got made redundant at my working field. Like loads of people got made redundant. They closed down like 75% of youth provision, and then they funded more private sector. They funded more police. They gave more community support officers jobs and so on and so forth. So if you increased police presence in 2012, and now you're running out of people to employ. Big man, this is a PP. This is you lot's problem. Like, why is it like you can't just understand that you've made a massive error and find out a way to solve that problem moving forward? If you're gonna have a lack of police presence for a period of time, I understand that's bad because crime is probably on the rise, but big man, you shouldn't have done what you done in 2012. It's almost like it had a spike in crime and felt like we had to employ more police, but that spike in crime was because of injustice. It wasn't because of like just everyday stuff. And they reacted off injustice, like as if to say, look, we got to make sure this doesn't happen again. Well, just don't kill people for no reason and it doesn't happen again. And it's like now 12 years later, you want to, I mean, your PR is terrible. Like, who am I to talk? My PR it's getting better. But PR is terrible, police. Like, if you want more
the
PR
got good over the last week, by the way.
It's got really good. Look at me, I'm wearing pink. Come
Anyway,
on, my G's. But the police's PR has been bad for a while. For a very, very long while. And I think more situations where this is public, the information's public, like you said, imagine we can't see. More information like this that people can see, and you have younger generations of 10, 11-year-olds that hear music that says F the police. If you want to reshape your PR, you should make an example of this young man. By making examples of these people, all of a sudden you're telling 11 and 12-year-olds growing up in this country, wow, you can get justice if you work for the police. Even if you're a police officer, you can't get away with murder, literally. So the good thing is, all of a sudden, you're changing your PR. And even though I don't agree with the principles of your country, you're probably going to get more people coming to wanting to be police officers. But right now, you've got bad PR because you're doing bad things. And then you're employing people just quickly through this cracks in the concrete because you can't get no one. And situations like this are happening far too often, Chucky.
Can I say, yeah, as I say this metaphorically, yeah?
Yeah.
They should hang this brother. And what I mean by that is that they should make the example in front of everyone. And there can't be a police officer that turns around and says, well, see, this is why it's hard to be a police officer because you make a mistake in this. This is not a mistake. This is attempted murder in my eyes.
Can I ask you a question?
Everyone universally should look at that and say, this was handled in a terrible, terrible way. So you have to make an example out of that. You have to. And if it means that in the process there is less of them, then there just has to be less of them. It's better that there's less of them than more of that. Because one day,
yes, you're right.
Because one day, what's going to happen is, we're just going to end up touching the road again. I'm sorry. That's what's going to happen. If there's more of that, then people are going to end up touching the road again. And I believe that if we get to a stage where a vast majority of people are feeling like they need to touch the road again, then I think it's going to be terrible scenes.
Oh, 100%.
It's going to be terrible 100%.
Scenes. There should be something here, what I personally feel, and I don't know how you would be able to find out that information with situations like this, because it's kind of based on, I guess, people's opinion. But it'd be nice to know if you could get on your record permanently when you've killed someone out of racism, or if you've done something that's racially provoked.
Oh yeah, like if you sexually assaulted somebody,
it stays on your record forever.
Yeah.
Why don't this stay on your record forever? Because do you know what? It's like we just keep taking it for a standalone situation, and then that, if it's, say for example, I don't know what the terms are, but say it's GBH. If it's GBH but it's racially provoked, it's not the same as something that's just normal, or not normal. Let's say GBH is normal, but it's not the same as another type of interpretation of GBH, because you could place that person in a circumstance with the same people that he seems to have a problem with, and you wouldn't know any different because you've just said GBH. Next thing you know, GBH just continuously happens because he's in an environment which triggers him because he's racist. If he's on a job and it's a black boy, he might be a little bit more aggressive. We have to be able to point those people out in public because it's becoming unfair, fam. Like, realistically, you take a look at it, black men are getting killed, fam. Black women are getting killed, fam. Our younger individuals, the younger generation of brown people, ethnic minorities, they're all getting beat up, killed. This is a joke, bro. How can we put something in place to save us, to prevent any more bad things happening? Do you know where I'm coming from? Because lives are being lost.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that is so much more deep-rooted where, like, you got, I don't know. That's
I don't know. It's
kind of a big conversation, because that's a real deep-rooted issue.
But if I'm saying 12 years ago, a man's dead because he's black, and we can see it's racially provoked, and maybe not even just because he's black, maybe it's just because he's working class, maybe it's the culture, maybe it's the, we're working class youths, we don't need them, dead them off. When are we going to stop all that, fam? Because now 12 years later, We got this.
But the law is, which they would say is supposed to be based upon a fact, yeah?
Yeah, for real.
You see,
Yeah.
that is a bit more nuanced and a bit more subjective, because even though we can see what we see, we can look at, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure a stamp on the head is attempted murder. We can maybe find that, yeah? But if that is, then factually he's stamped on the head. But the racial motivation, there would have to be more to see in that for that to be on somebody's
100%.
record. Do you get
But
what
then
I'm saying?
couldn't we take a look at your history and take a look at how many times you've been in similar situations and how you've dealt with them? Now, if you tend to be more aggressive
There
with
you
working class, or you tend to be more aggressive with ethnic individuals, then that would be a way that we can go, well, when you dealt with this person over here in a similar situation, you didn't feel the need to do X, Y, and Z. What were the circumstances? Can you let us know what happened? If we find that they were similar to this, then it's like, well, it's on you. Why is it when you're under the same circumstances with someone that's a little bit darker than yourself, you seem to feel the
Do it
need to be
more
more aggressive? And then it's on to you to justify your actions. If you can't justify your actions, maybe you lead us no choice but to say, this feels a little bit racially motivated, my guy. And then we say, boom, that's on your record. Because we're just taking a look at your history and we're asking you why you did it. And we're trying to get justification for it. And if you ain't punching up no middle class white people, but you're just punching up working class ethnic minorities, brother, there has to be a way that we can be safe, fam.